Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your co-host, M2 Dave. I'm here with my co-hosts, CrimsonShadow, MK Brady, Rio, and Zyphox. Please say hi, everybody.
What's good, everyone?
What's up, everyone?
So I thought we would begin the podcast with Maximilian's Invitational Tournament that occurred about 1 week from today. The tournament had to be stopped because of somebody who attacked the tournament with a DOS attack or something to that extent. I don't know the specifics. Can anybody give more?
Sorry to interrupt. Can I?
Yeah, please do. Yes.
All right, I want to explain the lore because when I didn't get to catch the video live when it was happening, I didn't watch the tournament live. But from what my stream told me is there was a player who is an MK11 player that was angry and salty that there wasn't an overhaul. So now that this person saw that they're doing MKX tournaments and everyone's going back to MKX, he got pissed and he was doxing the whole event and making sure players couldn't finish their matches. They had to completely stop the tournament because of it. And apparently, like I said, I don't know if this is true, but apparently his name is, from what I've been told.
Hold on. Is this hold on a minute? You just can't put out rumors like that and ruin people's reputation. Is this like something that people are actually saying?
Well, I trust my chat wouldn't be lying to me.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just saying we should be careful what names we use, what names we say for rumor, just not to spread any rumors.
Well, okay, do you guys want me to mention his name or not? Because I don't have to.
Well, I mean, I don't
want to cause any drama.
I'm trying to protect. I mean, I want people to say my name.
You could just say we all know who it is.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead.
Okay, well, the person's name apparently is You Eat My Pills.
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know who that. Does anybody know who this player is?
He's an MK11 player.
So
he's one of the newer players.
So he attacked the tournament.
Yeah, rumor has it that he attacked and sabotaged the MKX tournament because he was angry that the MK11 overhaul didn't happen and everybody decided to go back to MKX, and he didn't like that.
I mean, wow, that's something new.
Man-child. That's what I think of when I first hear that. Man-child.
But even so, I don't think any kind of motive would be enough to ever warrant doxing anyone or any play or any tournament.
This guy
realizes. Do you guys agree? Like, no matter what happens, you should never do that.
The type of psychopath that needs
does
to.
Does he not realize
happen.
that he could face like criminal charges?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, this is a serious thing. I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, you can't just do that to people or tournaments.
But it's also like nobody even went back to MKX. They were just having some fun and enjoying playing the game for a weekend or whatever.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of viewers too. They had like 30,000 or even more, maybe 50,000.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So there were a lot of eyes on it.
Maximilian is pretty much the cream of the crop when it comes to the FGC and Twitch. I don't know if there's anyone bigger than Max, to be honest.
Yeah, and it kind of saddens me. Like, it's so random. An MKX tournament put together by people that are passionate about the game, showcasing older talent like Sonic Fox and a bunch of other players, and then the new talent like Unbearable Skill and X88. Why go through all the trouble to dox that and try to ruin people's fun? Like, I don't understand what was the purpose. It didn't do anything, And even if it was for MK11, it didn't help MK11 in any way. So what was the point?
Yeah, I don't understand those people that just like want to rain on everyone else's parade.
It's like, just a true psychopath.
That's there's nothing fun about ruining other people's fun.
Only psychopaths go down that road where, because for whatever reason they don't like something, they're gonna go out of their way and really put an effort, right, to make others miserable. Because if you can accidentally do it, or it's just, humans are built to go the path of least resistance for most things. You have to really want to go and do something. It's just straight psychotic. So there's nothing more.
Yeah.
To be honest,
sorry, Crimson, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna mention it earlier and I forgot before we even started, but I think a lot of times people do stuff like this for notoriety, and to be honest, I think we should not give these people the time of day and we should just move on. because like it's not even worth acknowledging these kind of people, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
it sucks because right now the tournament's on hold and we don't know when the top eight's going to resume. I guess they're trying to figure something out.
yeah,
Maybe figure out a way to make sure players can't get doxxed next time they play.
I would
So currently,
much rather talk about the good of the tournament so far than the bad, you know? And whatever, those people can go rot.
yeah. I want to ask you guys, what was your favorite match that you enjoyed so far from what we've seen of the MKX Resurgence tournament?
Well, as a former tournament player, I enjoyed watching. Obviously, not just it wasn't just one particular tournament player, but I hope didn't watch the entire thing, but was it Unbreakables? What was his name? The tournament player who
Unbearable skill.
Thank you, Unbearable skill. To me, it looked like clearly the best one. He was doing the best conversions, like in the corner, like he was using forward 4, and he was coming up from that. I saw that he was obviously doing the armor. So it honestly, I haven't played MKX in a while. At least not last time I played it with King and King Jr. But that kind of made me think, oh my God, this actually, I remember this stuff, and I kind of want to go back into it. So I enjoyed all the matches with any of the Tremor players that I've really. Again, I didn't watch everything, but I had a fun time watching the Tremor players.
That match versus Samij was really good. It kind of came down to the wire. Like, I think it was the last game of the set. And yeah, I don't know. It was really dope to watch. Even though, of course, we all know if Samij was at full strength, it might have been a different story. But, sometimes it's fun watching people really have to struggle against people who are still, like, current,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really hyped about the older players playing the newer players, seeing like a clash out who would win, the older greats versus the new cream of the top. And I just wish sometimes players wouldn't say that they're not going to be taking it seriously or playing for real. Because as Zyphox said, they said that they were going to be playing this tournament for fun and not trying seriously. And to me, that kills a little bit of the hype. Because I want to see how would Sonic Fox, who was the best MKX player of all time, do against these new players currently right now. I want to see an all-out clash to see who would come out on top.
Yeah, it's tough. It's kind of a double-edged sword because I understand why Sonic did that. Because if you guys remember, we went through an era where it was like the pot shot era, right? Where somebody would be playing an older game for fun. They'd be in ranked or something, or someone would challenge them to like a set. And they'd be like, all right, cool, I'll play. And then they play the set. And then the next week, it'd be on YouTube. There'd be a big thing. Yo, this player got mopped. See, I told you they weren't really that good. And it was like people would make a big deal out of beating someone in a game that they don't play anymore. And so I think Sonic was probably remembering that situation before the tournament and just thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it up front. So there's no one's going to be talking about scalps. No one's going to be talking about Sonic wasn't that good, washed up, or any of this stuff,
I don't think it should even matter, to be honest. And because if you think about it, okay, you lost, but what's the big deal? If you don't play anymore and you lost, it's okay to be like, yeah, I lost. The person is better, and we're obviously keeping it at present times. We're not talking about the past. We're talking about now. If you haven't been playing, right, it just equally on Sonic's part as it is for the person who used to, that person who posted about them in the past. That person, why would they ever brag about beating someone who barely plays now when they used to play before? So it works both ways. And
yeah,
in that scenario, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I don't think it matters to the player that beat them about them playing now. I think it matters more of you being able to beat somebody that accomplished so much back then. Like, for example, when we talk about Sonic Fox, I mean, they won Evos, they won Majors back-to-back. Like, he had the most trophies you'll ever see anybody win for MKX. So, when you see a player beat him, it's not about them going, okay, he doesn't play now. They don't care about that. They want, when they beat him, they're like, that's right, I beat the multiple-time Evo champion, the dude who won all these tournaments, all that. They feel that sense of...
They feel that sense of accomplishment for taking 6 years to beat someone who who didn't even play for half that time. Like, think about it for a second. You don't go and be like, you run into... I was actually going to use Mike Tyson, but you can't even use Mike Tyson because he'd still knock you the hell out. But going to, like, older ex boxer or something, and picking a street fight with him and beating him when he's like 50, 60 years old doesn't like. Do you understand what I'm saying? The analogy stays true. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't
but
matter.
you have
Bringing
to think
attention
of
to
it.
it doesn't matter. If you
It's kind of like being Shang Tsung. Like, for example, when Shang Tsung beats you, he steals your soul, right? When you beat one of these older players that won these tournaments, it's like their Evo win, their trophies become yours now, you know? Like, in a way.
no, he doesn't
So I kinda
steal your
understand it.
soul. He sucks your soul.
Oh, yeah, true. Sure, I forgot the movie.
Oh
I
my
think what Grim
God.
is talking about is a term that is basically used a lot for this, which is called revisionist history, which is basically you have players, and I've seen this before, where they run into somebody who was considered XYZ, haven't played in a couple of years, beat him, and then that player tries to revise history by, I was better than so and so, like I beat him. And if that player refuses to get back in tournament shape, the other person will continue to go on and say, he can't beat me, he can't beat me. And of course, if people want to see a set just for fun, the other guy still wins again. It's almost like they revise history. Well, I don't know who really would have won. He might have been. And this way you get to avoid going to Evo, CEO, whatever, and just play a set 5 years after the game is over. Which I think that's what I thought people were doing originally. But the difference is with the MKX guys, I know when Ninja Killer, was doing stuff in Injustice 2 and Unbearable Skill, those guys didn't really do anything like that. That was more the community, I think, that was asking those questions. Those guys, and a lot of the guys like X88, et cetera, that are playing now, they don't ask for any credit. They don't ask to be seen on Sonic's level. They just ask to say, hey, they don't ask for nothing. Hey, we just like the game. We just want to play it. We don't really care about the props for anything. We just play it because we enjoy it. I think it's the community that starts like, well, I don't know. I don't know, man. Who would have won? I think that's the whole thing. So I think Sonic wasn't doing it to kind of like whatever for the players, but just letting the people know, calm down, don't start anything. This is just for fun. We're not replaying Evo with new players. I think because sometimes I think the community has matured a lot since then, but just to be sure, I think he did it.
Yeah, and I mean, it would even be worse if like you've been playing this whole time and you can't beat somebody who hasn't played in like 3 or 4 years. That's why like there's this like little dynamic where people are like, oh well, I would have beat you back in the day, like.
Yeah, but these
There's
players don't
no
do
way.
that. Like I've never heard Unbearable Skill say that. I've never heard any one of these guys ever say that. I've never
definitely
Cam beat Sonic Fox in a tournament and he didn't say anything about he would have won Evo or what he would have nothing. It was just GG's and of course he was hyped.
Let's say a player does that, right? How would you even be able to say anything? Like, let's say a player destroys Sonic Fox, makes them look free, and then the player says, yeah, if I was around there back then, I would have won those Evos and Ultimate Sonic won because I could beat him easily.
I would say
combat that, like, because how can you prove it though? Like, how?
I would say that the only reason that you're as good as you are right now is because of all the time that you put in up until this point. You're getting false confidence. You had the ability to put all this time that you put in now back then, but you would have to condense that time.
No, but what if back then they were too young? They couldn't compete.
I'll give you something that I heard somebody say a long time
Not my problem.
But no, it was like, look, man, when Muhammad Ali's 60 years old and you knock him out and claim you're the champion, they don't give you the belt. They lock you up because you're a crazy person.
Yeah.
Like that. It's the same thing, right? I mean, like it doesn't matter. Like I know as much as I guess that argument is, and I can understand if you're a newer player today. Not that any of our guys do this right now, but I can understand it because there's always that. Well, I mean, I might have been the best, whatever. Unfortunately, that's just not how the world works. I mean, you could say in anything, right? Some of the people we have playing almost every quarterback today would, with the way the football is evolved and the way things evolve, they would completely change the league. What you don't realize is when you're a player today, you're comparing yourself to somebody 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You have 5 or 10 years of advanced knowledge of a game. I mean, when they were playing, they had to create it. You're only doing what was created before you.
Yes.
I mean, you don't know that you would be as good if you were the one having to be creating. It's very easy to play timelines, right? You know, like you could take Kevin Durant today and say, man, if you teleported him right now into the 50s, he would be the greatest player to ever live. No one would even care about Will Chamberlain. But the thing is, if he was born in 1930, he wouldn't have those handles. He wouldn't have that shot. He would learn the game by, look, you're tall, stand under the rim and get the rebound. The game was played differently then than it is now. You have advanced knowledge of way things were going. You're able to play the evolved game instead of being the one who evolved it. And I think it's just one of those things where when it comes to that conversation, who really cares? It's two different timelines. They really shouldn't be crossed ever.
I think what's interesting about it is that they're actually part of the reason that this started with MKX is the fact that there actually are players who got into the game late or were peaking late.
Sure.
You know, and were interested, maybe not in Justice players, maybe they just like Mortal Kombat and they kept playing the game and they actually did get better. And they continue to get better. And one of the things that's really been interesting about our scene is the fact that we don't have room for those long tail players almost ever because there's been a new game every 2 years, right?
Absolutely.
So if you look at Street Fighter V, okay, so yes, the game itself has changed, but if you just look at the players who are on top, right, there are players who are winning things right now who are nowhere to be seen.
Year one.
Either nowhere to be seen during year 1 or 2, or they were there, but they were like role players. You know, they go to an event, they beat some guys, they get some scouts, they get, 33rd or whatever, and they win some smaller things, but they weren't like world beating players, and now they're literally winning things, are placing like first, second, and so that happens in almost every game out there. I don't care what it is. It could be Tekken, it could be Street Fighter, whatever, and over the life of the game, you get to see that, and we never have that because those people who are really warming up at the end of year 2, well, sorry, we're moving to Injustice now. Here we go, and they're like, wait, I'm getting good. Everyone's like, sorry, bro, you should have done it the last 2 years, So I think it's fascinating in some ways that even with regards to MK11, but just in general, to see what those players do who just don't pick games up as fast. We know for sure that one of Sonic's biggest traits, and a couple other players like Dragon and are that they pick up games super quickly. So at the start of a game, usually they're ahead of everyone else. And so I think it's interesting to see what happens when people play games for longer, and we really haven't had an opportunity to do that until now.
Yeah, well said. And since you mentioned Street Fighter, like I remember that was always the case with Justin Wong, right? He's like Sonic. He will pick up the game, and he will within a month he will be the best at it. But then as time goes on, then you have all these other players eventually catch up to him and not even surpass him, and and then you have a different set of different pools of players who are succeeding. But I do want to give props to the people. So the tournament was stopped at pretty much like the top 8 is almost determined. So we have Ninja Killer using Liu Kang, obviously against Unbearable Black, whom I mentioned earlier. Tremor, that's your first
Unbearable skill.
Unbearable skill. Thank you.
Cam is Black and Unbearable skill.
He just
Sorry.
he merged them in the flesh. Unbearable Black.
Unbearable skill. Unbearable skill. Those two are set to fight each other. Then we have the Oxys using Katana against Rewind using Reptile and Cassie. And then in losing bracket, we have Samij with Melina, Tweety with Kenshi, Star Charger with Katana, and so this is the only match that's actually listed on Event Hubs. I'm using them. I'm using that website, as a template here against X88 MKX using Liu Kang and Tremor, and then we have Camus Black with Johnny Cage. So I guess the Star Charger, 88 MKX, that's to determine who's actually going to be the losers bracket, which of those players, and who's going to be out. So I guess Samish, Tweety, and Camus Black, they have already qualified, whereas Star Charger against 88 MKX is yet to be determined. So the loser, again, is out of the tournament, while the winner is going to remain in losers bracket. Just want to give the people props here. So those are what would be the top 8. We don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing has been said as far as I know, but that's what's set in stone apparently, um, and I
Yeah.
guess we'll see what Maximilian says
I will
about
talk one thing Krim said really quick
Yeah.
when he brought up,
yeah.
that the time period, which I think that's a real good point that never gets addressed. That NRS games don't normally get that 2-year window, past the 2-year window, and like I would think, like I know when I go back to play MKX now, there are things now that I look at and I'm like, why did I even do that? Like I would do so much differently, and in fact, when I do play, there are a lot of things I do completely different. Because when you have years to think about things, you tend to approach them differently. I think there is something to be said about that. Unfortunately, because the games don't have that longer lifespan, and I think MKX is the first time we can see, because it's the first NRS game that actually MK game that gave us that rollback. So we could never see it with 9. We could never see it with Injustice 1. But with this game having rollback, people can play it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, theoretically, right? So it's the first time we actually see an NRS game get that 3, 4, 5, 6th year of at least some people playing it. And I think no matter who you are, if you go back to it, you'll do things differently. Even Sonic Fox, everybody does. Hindsight is always 2020. But I feel like in general, we don't get that hindsight that would make us better players because the game just doesn't go past year 2. So
Yeah, Tom, to your point, like
Good.
with MKX, it's kind of like the first NRS game where it's living a lot longer past the 2, 3, 4 year cycle. And with so many people that kind of announced that they're going back to MKX and they're kind of done with MK11, how do you guys feel about that? Like even yourself, Tom, you say that you're kind of making your main game now MKX. Like you're streaming it a lot, you're playing a lot. What do you guys think about that? Like a lot of people now going back to MKX, giving it a second chance, and now focusing on it instead of just leaving certain games in the past to die.
Well, I think that's a breath of fresh air, because now that we have like a choice, right, of what we're gonna play, because we're not in a 2-year cycle, we can actually be like, okay, well, out of every single game that we could play as a community, it's almost like a free for all. Like, yeah, people could still play MK11 if they like it. I personally wouldn't go back to MKX. That's past me. That's another life.
Sure.
Injustice 2 is a viable option, but it kind of had the same problems that MK11 is having right now with its variety, or boringness or whatever. Injustice 1 seems like the best, but the netcode sucks. So we have all these choices now, what we get to play as a community, and we could kind of transition towards like how Capcom has their community, where it's Street Fighter and Marvel. For a long time, it was these players would kind of play both games. This could be the same for whatever the next installment of NRS games, like with MK11. Let's say MK11 continues on with its own thing, still getting updates from the developer, because that's very important as well. But even then, the community could step up and take care of that when not necessary. But we finally have it, kind of what we've been wishing for, honestly, this time, because right now, if things were different, maybe if COVID didn't happen or whatever, we'd be talking about a completely different thing right now. We'd be talking about Injustice 3 or something. Who knows what we'd be talking about, right? So.
Yeah.
What?
It is kind of cool how we can all choose what game we want to play now, instead of having to force ourselves to play the newest game.
And I was thinking about that when I was walking back from getting food, and I realized that it's really the only reason this can happen right now is the fact that there are no majors. You know what I mean? Normally, it's not even a question, right? If you're going to get on an airplane to go fly somewhere and pay for a hotel and stuff like that, you're going to make absolutely sure that you're in your best shape possible for whatever the main game is that you're playing, And so, if you're riding out, either way, if you're using your own money, or even if you have a sponsor who's paying for your flight or hotel, right? You're not there to mess around, right? Like, you're there to get work done. And only because things are online right now do we have this kind of relaxed atmosphere where people are free to kind of play whatever they want, I know there are a lot of people who kind of, I wouldn't say they're like seriously playing MKX, but they're kind of dabbling in it to have an alternative for fun, right? Like if they get tired of MK11, they'll go play some MKX or whatever, and then until they get tired of that, maybe they'll come back or maybe they'll play something else. But yeah, the only way that this can happen is in this atmosphere we have right now, where most of the tournaments are online, which means that people can kind of host whatever they want, whenever they want. And yeah, I mean, maybe it's good to talk about it, but majors are going to come back. Like, cases are going down, you know? Like, a lot of people had the COVID vaccine here and stuff like that. So I wonder how that is going to change the calculus for how our scene looks.
Good point, because I think you probably hit the nail right on the head. It has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, things are still relaxed. There are no major tournaments. So people are not grinding as hard as they maybe would be. They're maybe going back to the games they prefer. I think people should play what they like. Uh, Obviously, people play the newest game for a variety of reasons. We understand why. I'm not going to go into that argument. For me personally, so Michelangelo and King Jr. are going to be in Ohio. They're going to, stop by and they ask me what game you want to play. I'm like, yeah, I'll play with MKX with you guys. MKX is not necessarily my favorite. It's not my favorite fighting game by a long shot. I think it's too offensive. But if I had to choose, and especially right now, what people are playing, I'm like, yeah, I'll play MKX with you. And even my cousin said, yeah, we'll play with them. It's not a big deal. It's not our favorite fighting game. If we had to play together, we'd be playing Tekken and Street Fighter. But coming over, let's play MKX. So I support people. They want to play the old games. I don't have an issue with that. Anybody else want to comment on this topic or?
Yeah, since we're talking about this whole game stuff, I want to bring up. I don't know if you guys heard about the Lost Your Girl drama that happened a few weeks ago.
No.
What is it?
No, what was that?
So basically, there were people like harassing and attacking her, saying like ridiculous things like, "Oh, you need to kill yourself because you like MK11, this and that." And to me, that's ridiculous. Like Dave said earlier, if there's a game you like and you like to play it, like everybody is their own person, then shouldn't you be able to play that game in peace? Like, why do some people have to go out and tell other people that they need to literally kill themselves because they like a certain game that may not be preference to what you like?
Also,
That to me is crazy.
by the way, if people feel this passionate about one game or another, so whether you're a supposed MK11 guy who doesn't like an MKX tournament or an MKX player who feels like you should tell Losty Girl to whatever because you like MKX or whatever game you do like, keep in mind that offline tournaments are coming back and these TOs are looking to kind of do stuff for the player. If you're that passionate about something, nothing is stopping you from reaching out to a TO and saying, hey, is it possible for me to run a tournament for this game at this event? If you really have that type of passion, rather than spending your days threatening somebody's life, if you love the game that much, do something to get it playable to where you can play it and others can play it as well at an event. I mean, I just don't see the point in going about it the manner of like threatening somebody.
And what was it that Lost the Girl was playing?
MK11.
She was playing MK11. She likes MK11 and people are attacking her for it, going like, you should go kill yourself because you like such a bad game. You should play a real game like MKX and so on.
Wait,
It's like it's the most petty thing.
Who's doing this stuff? It's really weird.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you don't like a game, okay, that's fine. But why waste energy on something you don't like to go around telling other people to not play that game or whatever,
It's really strange.
Like to think that it's a very small minority of players who have extreme views, and it's not commonplace. I would at least hope so. Because again, I have my very strong opinions about MK11. You guys know what they are. I don't have to rehash them, and I will never play that game ever again. But that doesn't mean that other people shouldn't play them. And I'll still sometimes watch a tournament Slayer stream just to see what's going on. And I would never, ever make, you like this game, you should go kill yourself or whatever. I think that's completely unnecessary and it's very, very counterproductive to not just, to the NRS community, but the whole FGC, because we don't want, other people doing that type of stuff.
I think that's something that's really good to talk about, because the other thing that's super important about that is to remember that it comes back around, I think, maybe Tom, you can talk about this too a little bit, but if you look back at our history, I remember when Injustice first came out, and there were two different kinds of energy around Injustice when it came out. There was half of the people who were like, whoa, this is so different. This is crazy. Like, what's going on? It's like, it's back to black. We're like throwing these interactable things and like, like the gameplay is different. The stages are super huge. The characters are small. Like everyone's got these weird traits and stuff. And, they were like, whoa, this is like a breath of fresh air. And then there was another half of the community that was like, what is this? What are these interactable things? Like, get this out of here. This doesn't play like MK. Like, the game should play more like Mortal Kombat. What is this? And those are the people who around a year and a half in started being like, Injustice is dead. Can't wait till MK comes back. Then you're gonna see who the real players are, the real talents coming back, the real, like, whatever you call them, teams or clans or whatever, we're coming back. And I think when people did that, they were kind of thinking, oh, this Injustice is like a one-off thing, Like they just tried something once, and now we're going back to MK, and that's what it's gonna be. But what I think people didn't realize is that energy that you created doing that is going to come back and follow you. And next thing you know, we were playing MKX, and all these people were talking about it's not MK9. It should play more like MK9. They should have made MK 9.1. And so it's important for everyone to know if you create that energy about a game that you don't like, when you get a game that you do like, that same energy is going to come back to you. And whatever you said about everyone else enjoying their stuff is going to come back and haunt you when you enjoy yours. So I think it's super important that we be aware of that and break the cycle so that we don't keep doing this with every other game. Otherwise, it's going to come back and visit literally every single person at one time or another.
Yeah, Tom, did you wanna comment on
No,
that?
yeah, I mean, I agree for sure. And keep in mind, a lot of these people that are like, oh, why do you, kill yourself? Why do you like MK11? When you create this kind of whatever, what happens if you're like, you know what, man, fucking NetherRealm, they're never gonna do shit, man. This game is done. And let's say E3 comes out and they're like, bam, Ed Boon edition, MK11. You want that overhaul? We got you, man. You want that meter building? Surprise, we actually did it for you, right? You wanted smoke? We got you too. And then you're like, amazing, MK11. Hey guys, let's unfuck things, but you can't do that, right? Like you've already people are already like, whatever, on the next game, and now all of a sudden now you like it and you want to play it. You know what I mean? Like people don't really look at the effects, you know what I mean? And then you do like something and everyone's like, go kill yourself, bitch. What the fuck you like this game for? Right? And then you're like, no, look, see, it's different. Nah, go kill yourself, bitch. It's not different. Like it always comes back around like that. You have to look at what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you do like something, but nobody, you're getting the same thing back. So I do think that what Crim says is right. And I think I thought we were starting to grow up a little bit, but yeah, there's still I don't really understand why people get so angry. If you like something, play it, and if somebody else likes something, they can play that. I don't understand why it has to be all or nothing. And to Crim's point, sometimes there's a game that you do like, and then everyone's giving you that same treatment back.
It's just a consequence of anonymity. It's the consequence of anonymity. This is obviously never said offline in front of people. People act rational in front of other people, and then sometimes certain people, they might have something else going on in their life, like mentally, or whatever the case may be, and they feel like lashing out is okay, and they choose, like the first person. It might be just the first person. It might just be the first thing that ticks them off. The first thing that ticks me off, I don't care anymore. And then they see Losty Girl, and then they see
kill
she loves
yourself.
MK11.
I mean, that's not something that you take lightly. You know what I mean? Like for any reason.
And then they read it and like, she actually likes MK11. Like she's crazy for that, and then kill yourself for that. Like that never comes from a sane mind. So,
and they would never say that without the anonymity.
Exactly, and anonymity, and I can't even freaking say that word. Anonymity. Anonymity is saving a lot of, it's like it's such a well guard for them, like, these types of people, and hopefully they can get whatever it is that's bothering them resolved. Sometimes it's just kids, and that's the first time they discovered that they could just say whatever they want and be little shits. and no one's gonna be able to tell them that they're wrong, like their parents are, and then, maybe they're getting beaten at home. I don't fucking know, right? So who knows?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the earlier MK9 time, like before MK was like a main game at these prominent majors, like Evo, CO, all this stuff. When MK9 was coming out around that time, you playing that game and saying, "Yo, I'm trying for MK9," it was kind of like people looked at you a weird way, like you're trying for MK at this tour. You felt like there was something wrong with you, like one of these things is not like the other,
Play a real game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I like that the scene has built their way up now that NRS games are considered like a real fighting game that can be played in a real fashion. And it's just kind of sad to see that, people, whether it be MKX, MK11, Injustice, whatever, like people have to go out of their way to make sure other people feel bad for liking or enjoying a game that they play.
Dude, it's a really good point too that Zyphox made, and that you continue on, because I think we forget a lot of the energy that really makes our scene fun came from offline. The vibe, like you guys were saying, when you're actually hanging out with people is completely different. And in our scene, one of the things that was cool about it is that it didn't even really matter how good people were. It wasn't like the Smash thing where it's like they have regular people, they have like plebeians or serfs and gods.
Dude,
like I went to.
Yeah, there's like a whole social
no fucking way.
Yeah,
this is a real thing.
Bro, you get like VIP booths and like back player rooms and shit.
Yeah,
I've had conversations with Mango.
No, I'm not saying that players are like MLG Hollywood. I'm saying like some tournaments treat it like like a very serious.
Oh, like the actual tournament.
Yeah, like you can't just go to a tournament and then approach like some top players practicing in the back scene. Like it's kind of like very
okay. I understand.
It's like very monumental, like the whole scene and stuff.
It's a different kind of energy, like there are two tiers of players. And I remember like I went to defend the North, and it was a pretty heavy hang because I was there to chill with Theo. So I mean, a lot of people were there. Like the hang, we were all going out to eat, and it would be like Hayate, Dragon, Sonic, Gross, White Boy, Theo, and all these people, But it's like the energy was just like everyone just wants to have fun, Like people were here to enjoy each other, not just to enjoy the game. And I think it's really important to remember that right now, because online, and especially the way things are with this Twitter drama, Twitch drama, there's like drama a mile a minute now, and a lot of it has nothing to do with gameplay at all. It's who said this, who did that, stuff like Lost the Girl with people sniping at people and stuff like that. And it's like this energy is completely different from why most of us were attracted to the scene in the first place. And it's super important to remember that we have to keep that real community spirit as well. It's not just about the gameplay. It's not just about who plays at this tournament and who did this and that, but like ultimately at the end of the day, supposedly we're all here to have fun, and hopefully that's something we can keep alive even while the offline majors are gone.
Yeah. I just wanted to say something about like almost like the dehumanization that goes along with berating someone online for like having a different opinion than you. It's almost like road rage. You can't see the person behind the wheel for the most part, and there's no way that the person can hear you if your windows are up, so it doesn't matter if you tell them fuck you, or and then sometimes people take it too far and they'll actually like roll down their window. And it's just like this, it's the same
or they
thing.
Get out that bitch and come to beat your ass, and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta go.
And that's just our subconscious is not wired to have these modes of communication, honestly. And so the dehumanization that's going on is messing with these people's minds. And once you get to the offline, like you said, it changes. Like even if you were the worst little shit online, as soon as you get in front of other people, you instantly, oh, okay, and then you start having fun. You're almost like, you almost have like the self-realization. Not that I went through this, but I can bet, because I've actually had conversations with people who used to be online trolls, like Limbo Dog. I don't know if you guys remember him. But Limbo Dog came out, and I've met him, and he used to troll me so much, and then we actually had beers together. Shit you not, Winter Brawl, and I made top 3 at that Winter Brawl 2014. He was like, bro, listen, man, I'm so sorry I shitted on you for 2 years. 2 years from MK9. Like, I want to buy you a drink, and he did. Literally. But that's besides the point. Yeah, you know, Tom knows Limbo. Like, he's a big internet troll, but once you get offline, it just changes everything. Like, there's nothing like it, and that's the best parts of what we're missing out right now. And
I mean, we had a tournament because of the COVID stuff where no one played. You guys remember that? Like the LCQ for Final Combat or whatever. Remember, like they flew all those people to Chicago, and they didn't get to play because they canceled the tournament. But if you talk to almost anyone who was there, almost without fail, like all of them say, "Dude, I had an amazing weekend." They didn't even get to compete. Just the fact that they got to meet people who they had only played or seen online, and they got to really hang out with each other and chill and chat like you'd be doing in the hotel after the tournament or whatever. They still all said, "You know what? I'm glad I came." And so it's important to remember that that's the community. You know, the games are going to come and go. The game that we have right now is not going to be the game we're playing probably in 5 years from now. But the community spirit, if you have it, that's what stays. And hopefully we can keep that in mind.
Well, on that note, we do have to discuss some Mortal Kombat 11.
Can I say something regarding that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Dave, if you don't mind. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you guys mind if we kind of talk about the tier list we did the other week? Because we really didn't get to talk about much of any. We only talked about like 4 characters in that entire video.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember.
So we could do it on every podcast from now on. We haven't even discussed it, so I kind of feel bad mentioning it. Maybe focus on 4 characters, or 3 or 4 characters, because in depth, and then move. With every podcast we discuss. Because if you're gonna go in depth with every character, the podcast is gonna be far as long. And I know some of you might like that in the comments. I've been reading them, but I'm sorry, I don't have that much time. I think what we could do is just focus on, again, 3-4 characters every podcast, go into depth, which I think would be a great idea. It may even force me to go back into the game and look at some stuff and, test some stuff for the sake of just having the correct information. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. That sounds pretty good.
All right.
Sounds
So
good.
obviously, we haven't really planned for this. So Rhea, I'm going to ask you, do you have any character that comes to mind?
Well, let's talk about the hot takes.
Yes.
Shao Kahn supposedly not being low tier anymore. How do you guys feel about that?
I've seen everybody start playing him. That was like the main takeaway is that people are like playing him a lot now. And then I seen
They're saying, yeah,
King was doing work actually on Slayer's stream the other day with Shao Kahn, and I believe he like barely lost to a really good player. I'm trying to remember the name.
yeah. I've been seeing people say that Shao Kahn went from being the worst character in the game to now he's like arguable mid tier. Like he's better than characters like Scorpion.
What makes him so much
his
better?
neutral, his combo conversions off his 1-4 string. Now he can check you with a safe combo starter, whereas before he couldn't because he had to use 4-3-4. But now because his 1-4 goes into his overhead hammer leap, he can get a full combo off that mid screen or anywhere.
Oh,
so he has a way to get a meterless combo check or hit you. Yeah, he doesn't have to always use meter to get a combo launch now.
But that's 4-3 string. How much of a liability is that still?
I mean, it depends on what character you're playing against. Like, some characters can't floss block launch it. Like, if you're playing, like, Jackie or whatever, like, her up 2 whiffs. And before, she could just 4-3 punish it. She can't do it anymore. So now, for some characters, they can't. Like, it's kind of, like, a little bit hard for them to punish. So Shao Kahn can get away with a little bit more.
We're saying that... I mean, who are these people? Who is saying that... What is King saying? I haven't talked to him. I haven't discussed Shao Kahn with him in great detail. Is he saying that Shao Kahn... what is he actually saying? What is he actually saying about Shao Kahn, though?
I mean, he didn't have a direct quote, but just from the gameplay that I was able to tell on stream, it would just seem like this version of Shao, if this was a pre-patch, it probably wouldn't have been able to, because he was definitely using that 1-4 conversion a lot. Like, that was super handy. Another thing that I don't know if Sindel was like a character that can really like deal with the 4-3-4 mix-up, but King was pretty effective. She has slower
normals than other characters.
Okay, so he was pretty effective in using that game plan against her when I was watching.
Yeah, remember, before 4-3-4, floss block used to be -12, so everybody could get an easy, clean punish. Now it's -9, a few characters are gonna have issues punishing it if they don't have a jab that reaches quick enough,
and
or if their up two just isn't quick enough to punish it.
And then King was also canceling a lot into the shoulder as well because I think that's what happened. Like I seen Pilato punished him for doing the regular floss block, and he didn't cancel it, and then he just started canceling it, and it just created that mind game.
Yeah, that's another mind game that before he couldn't do. Before he could just floss block 4-3-4, and you didn't have to worry about anything. It was just 100% way to beat it every time. Now Shao Kahn can do a 2-in-1 special out of the floss block, which will again throw off some characters up twos, hit them out of it, and it just introduces another layer.
Is there anything else people want to know about Shao Kahn specifically? Because I have another character in mind.
What about Crimson and Tom? What do you guys think about Shao Kahn? Do you guys think it's a hot take how he's not the worst in the game anymore?
I mean, I don't think it's super hot. Like, I think it was predictable, and the reason why is almost every time a character gets buffed, people either super rush to say like, this didn't do anything, like it's not gonna help. Like, what were they thinking? Or this character is super broke. What were they thinking? Why did they give him all this? And a lot of times when they say it's too much, it's actually not. It's fine. Once everyone calms down. And sometimes when they say it wasn't much help, then people actually start digging into things and figure out that it's better than you think. For example, right now, a lot of RoboCop players are digging into the mind games that he has on block after 1-2-1, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and they're saying, hey, this is actually really usable, and it opens up another aspect of my game. There's a lot more Yomi, there's a lot more things you have to think about when you block that string. And even if you anticipate that I'm going to do this, I can do this. All right? So there's a whole other layer to that character. So I just think, yeah, I don't know. A lot of times we have those like knee-jerk, literally minute one after the patch reactions. But I think we've seen in a lot of cases that it's actually not what people said, and Shao Kahn is probably another one of those cases where people are wrong.
Tom, do you have any comments on Shao Kahn? Have we lost it? Tom Brady?
My mic is muted. I'm dumb. My mic is muted. I'm dumb. The hammer lunge, I think, is a significant change, just because it does change the matchup. Like Shao Kahn can now check you for quite significant damage meterlessly. Like even like take Geras for example. Sand trap. It's going to be a lot harder for him to do sand trap or anything at all like that. He has to think twice about that. Or any type of character that maybe tries to maybe zone a little bit. Even like RoboCop. I know people complain about his zoning still. Shao Kahn.
Or Shang Tsung. Like I've seen a Shang Tsung with a corpse drop and get full comboed.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Shao Kahn can check you from pretty much anywhere with almost 40% damage is quite significant. And it also doesn't really matter how much bar he has. Doesn't matter if he has all bar, no bar. So it doesn't really matter whether he breaks away or uses offensive bar for something else or flawless blocked into something. And it doesn't really matter. It's always a threat. It's always available. So I do think it does significantly help Shao Kahn in some matches. His tier list, again, it's tough to say because there is, we really haven't. Maybe we'll see this a little bit more Pro Series finale, but I think it's tough to gauge until we see like the hardcore tournaments coming back, which thankfully they are. But it certainly did give him a boost for sure. Giving some character access to 40+% meterless. To say it does nothing, that's just being disingenuous. It's a lot of damage, and being able to check someone for that damage safely from anywhere on the screen is a pretty big boost.
Especially since one of the biggest complaints about Shao Kahn was that he can't do anything useful and be safe. Right? So addressing that addresses one of the biggest issues that people had with the character, which is everyone else can pressure and they're fine. Right? And I try to play my game, I get punished for everything. So I think both the damage and having any kind of safety at all is a big deal for Shao.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think we do have to mention. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We do have to mention RoboCop as well because I think it is important. Not because
he's the second hot take because
yes,
I'm sure we're all not used to this. RoboCop has been considered a bottom 3 for like the past 8 months since Ultimate dropped. So now he's considered to be mid-tier or even better now. So he's probably moved up even further than Shao Kahn did. What do you guys think about that? from bottom 3 to like mid tier or better?
Well, I think he's been getting buffed like little by little. Obviously, I don't like the way they're buffing him. I think it's completely wrong. But I'm just going to comment on what's actually happening. Um, they've been buffing like his health, for example. So he's got in total 10% more health, right? He started with 1,000, now he's got 1,100, and then probably arguably maybe the biggest buff of the patch was, whether intentional or unintentional, I still don't know, is just having the 1-2-1 tick throw. Not just tick throw, but it went from minus, like we said last pack, it went from -8 to -5 on block, and also tick throws. So that gives you, again, the risk reward is not in your favor, but it's still something to think about, right? Like they have to deal with that.
Yeah,
Are they
that
going to
string
jump?
is actually kind of obnoxious now. You cannot, like, you have to guess when he does it. You cannot react to him.
That's right. So that opens up, So that kind of opens up the typical tick throw meta, and they have to release block, they jump.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you do 1-2-1 and they jump thinking you're gonna do command throw, he has enough time to answer or hit you. So it's like just this mind game. Like he never has to do it. Just the threat of is he going to command grab will sometimes prompt a response from you, which will get you screwed. It's like that has a huge mind game to it.
Yeah, and I think you can mash out of it, like you can poke out of it and stuff like that. But if you do, then it's an easy flawless block, and so even that opens up a whole other mind game where it's like there's nothing you can do that's automatically okay, and there's a lot of layers of Yomi to it, which is really cool.
Yeah, and you could
It's
almost
almost like offense in a weird. It's like Liu Kang's forward 4 string. You know how he has like layers and options around, and you kind of have to play around it. It's like one of those strings.
And you can always throw the flamethrower. It's a big risk, but you can always do it. And if they try anything, they get hit. So it's obviously a risk, but if it hits, then they reset ground, and then you can, well, not if they jump, of course, but they're on the ground, and you get advantage, and then you can go, for another 1-2-1 or so. His offense has improved a lot, and that's obviously going to be most beneficial in the matchups where he is unable to zone. Maybe like maybe against like a Shang Tsung or Jade, that type of character, where low auto is not necessarily the best option, so he can fall back and have his offense. So I think in those matchups it makes a big difference.
All right, what about the third hot take?
I think the third hot take, again, I know people don't want to hear it, but Shiva, I think we have to talk about her because, okay,
well, actually, she wasn't my third hot take, but I will say this.
Yeah.
I am so shocked at the amount of Common League I played recently that I have not come across one Shiva. Like, what happened? Did they all just like?
Well, I had.
I don't know about you guys, but dude, I almost forget she's in the game. Like, no one's using her. I've not fought one single Shiva.
NRS censored the Shadow Realm, dude.
Yeah.
It's so weird because before she was so common, and now she's like nowhere to be seen.
She's in the Phantom Zone. It's odd. Like, dude, the thing is, I had a prediction, and.
But how does a character go from being played nonstop to now almost never seen? That is like so weird.
Obviously, they had one agenda, and it was to nerf the characters tremendously. And if that was their aim, if that was their objective, they have done they've done a tremendous job of it. And obviously, I said it last time, the character is the new Shark Hound guy. Look, I know a lot of you guys are
okay, wait. See, that was gonna be my other hot take, but it wasn't Shiva though. It's a different character.
No, I understand, but I do want to get this out there because I do think it's important to understand. A lot of you guys complained about her. You wanted her out of the game. You got your wish. There you have it. Are you happy now?
Wait, hold on. I'm only speaking for Combat League. I haven't been watching some of the recent tournaments. What about the best Shiva players like Tigersm? Are they still running Shiva in tournaments?
I have sent them a tweet. He hasn't even responded to me. I don't know whether he's mad or whether he thinks I'm trolling him. I just asked, what do you think about the character? And he hasn't said anything yet. When I was looking at it, he said he was done with the game. I don't know whether that was prior to the patch. I want to be very specific. I don't know whether it was prior to the patch.
Tom or Crimson or Zyphox, have you guys been seeing, like, are people still using Shiva in tournament? Or
no, I haven't even ran across
So she just done on both sides of the game?
Yeah.
No more Combat League and no more tournament?
I forgot that she was in the game.
Well, the thing is, like, Tigers actually dropped Shiva, like, months ago. He actually hasn't.
Well, he was saying back then when she was at her most broken, she had unwinnable matchups, like a couple that she just couldn't. Didn't matter what you did, like she just was too unfavorable to use.
Yeah, he dropped her like in February or something like that. So there weren't a lot of actual Shiva mains, and it was just kind of a convenience pick sometimes, or like let me troll and see if I can get away with this pick or see how they deal with it. So now that most good players are not going to have a problem with it at all. I think that the utility of just picking Shiva on the side, which is what most people are doing, is done.
Or do we think that she is the new Shao Kahn?
No. Well, I was gonna say. I guess this will be the fourth hot take since.
Well, let's
Yes, you
have
say
Tom.
Shiva.
Let's have Tom comment on she. Tom, do you think she's done, or do you think could still be good? What do you think?
I don't know how good she really is, but I do know that I think, honestly, I don't think they're done nerfing her if they do another update. I think maybe they don't feel that's what they've always done. I could be wrong. I'd be happy if I'm wrong, but a lot of times they like to warm it up. You know, they kind of tap the nails around the coffin, and then they put the locks and chains around it later. You know, so I think Shiva's probably done because, to be honest with you, even when they did this, and Rio remembers right when they did this, people said that she wasn't nerfed enough. You know,
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna say there's still comments going like,
Yeah.
"Why is the stomp still unblockable though?" It's still,
yeah.
like, an
So
issue.
I do think people they'll never be satisfied until they do
But
something.
are they going to
with their
take?
flex
Are they
protection.
going to take the? Are they going to take the initiative and actually do what's right instead of just catering? Because obviously the complaints have dropped a lot. Can we agree to those facts? Like they have
Well, it's
dropped.
because you don't see her anymore at all. Like,
Yeah,
I know. Well, yeah,
she's
but
not
you
in
don't
tournaments
see her.
anymore, and she's not even in
Yeah.
Combat League anymore.
But I'm hoping that they redesign the character in a different way. That's not stomp, 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 or just fireball, fire, fireball. I'm hoping they make her. To me, she's always been a. Again, I don't even care to use her. I just want to be fair to to the Shiva player, just like I try to be fair to everybody. I hope they redesign the character in a way that's fun to watch, fun to play against. Maybe like an up close command grab character, perhaps.
I mean,
But
she should have been a rushdown up close character.
I know, and I don't know what they were
She's a
thinking.
Shokan. Like,
I mean,
Goro was an MKX.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what I imagine. Something like that. Hopefully, they have if there's another patch or whatever, another combat pack that they have something up their sleeves where they can redesign the character in a different way and everybody can just move on from Shiva.
It's crazy because she kind of did get redesigned when Dragon Stats joined competitive, right? We were watching a completely different Shiva at that point, and then she got canceled. And then now she got canceled.
Dude, that shit lasted like one day before that had to go. that had to have been patched immediately. Dragon Sense instantly got nuked.
The character got canceled twice in a year. That's pretty crazy.
Well, let's have Rio mention the last character. Then I have a lot to say about.
Yeah. So what I was
patch.
gonna say is, they've mentioned Shiva being the worst. That's actually not what I've been seeing a lot of people say. Actually, most people don't even talk about Shiva. She's kind of like a ghost now. Like, I guess people just don't even acknowledge she's in the game anymore. But right now, the current worst character in the game, people are saying it's Melina by far. And then after her, it's Rambo.
You guys remember the
What do you guys
bill of
think about
goods? That's what I remember. You guys remember the bill of goods? A bill? You've been sold a bill? Remember when we used to use that like every single time?
That was Stephanie's.
Someone wrote the bill of goods that Melina is the worst character in the game and tried to sell it to every single person, and they bought it. Melina is not the worst character in the game, guys. That's just
wait. Before they weren't saying Melina's the worst in the game. Now they're saying it.
After,
just saying.
What?
They've been saying it for months.
No. Before it was like Shao Kahn and shit were the worst.
Nah.
And now though it's solid.
Even Melina, the same Melina players that are crying to get her in the game are crying that she's not good enough.
Dude, for like 3 months, it might be Shao, but you know what? It might be Melina.
Listen.
I don't know. I remember months ago it was Shao Kahn the worst, then RoboCop, then whatever. But now Melina's being considered the worst character in the game.
I mean,
by far. And then after her, it's Rambo.
Like, this is the thing I don't really understand.
See, the thing is, I think they're comparing too much to MKX Melina, which is like broken. So it's not a fair compare. It's like comparing, I don't know, Kenshi from MK9 to MKX Kenshi. Like, obviously, Kenshi's gonna feel so garbage, when you compare him to such a superior broken version. That's why I don't think it's fair to compare MKX Melina to MK11 Melina because Melina in that game was like S plus tier, like ridiculous broke.
They don't realize
She was,
how
like,
they were
top 3 at the world.
carried by MKX Melina, thinking that they were going to get carried by MK11 Melina. This is the real problem here. The real problem is they expected to be like, okay, kind of like what I expected Injustice 2 Flash to be like with Injustice 1. That one change of not having the torpedo in this game and Injustice 2 literally changed the way that the Flash played.
Yeah,
That you
well,
can no
that's
longer
another
get
example.
carried. And
Exactly, it's like comparing Justice 2 Flash and Justice 1 Flash, like literally night and day difference.
Literally, and that's the same thing that's going on here. Like the character doesn't have the teleport, the roll shenanigans, all this stuff that made Melina and MKX. Now you got to actually play like neutral. Now they're like, yo, she's the worst character in the like, yo, and then like, okay, guys, we need to write this bill of goods. We gotta sell this.
Yeah, well, Zav, I want to ask what you think about her because you've been playing my Melina a lot lately, and you know what's weird? Like I tried playing a lot of characters in this game. Like I went from Noob Saibot to other characters, and to me right now, currently in the game, Melina fits me the most, as in what character I want. She does everything I like in a fighting character now. She has amazing movement. She has really good anti-airs. I love her hit and run style. She has a command throw. Like she does everything that I like. And compared to a character like Noob, obviously Noob is like top 10 super good, but I'd rather play Melina over Noob any day of the week because I don't like the flaws that Noob has. Like I hate his clunky movement. That to me is such a huge turnoff.
Exactly, and this is the thing. I knew this character would fit you because Cabal had the same type of movement. Besides having a dash and that block dash. Oh, the way that you're block dashing with Melina, I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm playing your fucking Cabal, right? And I barely even played your Cabal because I barely played NK9, and I just knew right away. And so that's what I'm saying. Like you're actually playing Melina how she's meant to be played.
Yeah, well, it's because she fits my style. Like I like her play style.
You keep playing Melina at that level, and you'll start like catching up and being able to like beat players that thought that Melina was garbage or whatever the case may be, or maybe people are not doing things the way that they're meant to be played. And this
well,
game,
she has a very interesting playstyle in this game because most characters either want to be in your face or they want to do. But her, she's like she doesn't really have like an archetype. Yeah, she doesn't have an archetype. But she's all about just making you want to stick out buttons, chipping you with her size. Her size do crazy shit. They do like 4% chip every time. So it's very easy for her to chip you out. And then whenever you get comfortable in blocking stuff, it's very easy for her to dash up and command throw you instantly. And she has one of the better Oki games too.
She plays in this game similar to like MK2 Melina almost. And what I'm saying is, besides like not having like a jump kick fucking side whatever the fuck type of shit going on, like it's the fundamentals behind the movement that open you up to playing the character properly. If you're using her movement correctly, you're gonna make opportunities happen. Whereas MKX Melina was anything you did was an opportunity because it was fucking Melina. She did back one, teleport, roll.
She was more of an aerial character in that game too. Like, jumping was a big part of her gameplay.
Exactly. Even MK9 Melina. If you want to go back to MK9 Melina, same thing. This Melina is not MK9 Melina nor MKX Melina, and that's what people don't realize and which they're struggling with right now. You guys gotta create your opportunities by movement. You know how many times I whiffed right in front of your face when I'm playing? Well, yeah,
it's hard because so the thing is, like her mind games, a lot of her strings that she does, like for example, her back 1-1, right? If you block that, you have to instantly respond to catch me backdashing with Melina. But if I know you're gonna do that, I can do any of the string follows. Back 1-1-4, back 1-1-2. Yeah, there's risk to all that if you read that. But if you take a second to read any of that, then you allow me to move out back into my range. You can't cover both. Like you have to make a choice every time I do something.
And that's one of the strengths of Cetrion, doing that like fucking tornado and resetting that neutral where she's like, okay, are you gonna chase a backdash? She's gonna catch you with 1-2 or whatever. And if she backdash, she gets into the range where she's better at being in that range than most other characters in the game. Melina has that range. It's right outside of jump distance, and being able to get outside of jump distance and getting back in, forcing people to make those mistakes by jumping in neutral or whiffing is her strong suit. They are not actually trying to dash in back and forth and play footsies, which is why they're struggling in the first place. Now, I'm not saying every single Melina is like this. If you're a really good MK11 player and you're playing Melina, right, and you're playing against other top players losing, there's also just a learning curve because Melina's a new character that you probably are, slowly approaching, and it hasn't exploded exponentially yet. So there's also the time factor. Obviously, when did the last version come out? It's been like 7 months, right?
8 months since Ultimate came out.
Yeah, so I feel like those characters that were included in Ultimate.
Yeah, I also feel like Melina's not flashy. Like she's not like this crazy
Exactly.
combo character. She's not like fancy. She's very like dry. Like watching her, she's like a very your typical fighting character almost. Like she just has a very
Like
basic
Ryu,
gameplay.
like in this
But-
game, because of like
Yeah, like she's very straightforward. Like you're not gonna see all these crazy flashy combos, all these crushing blows, all this stuff. But I kind of want to compare it to Rain because
I was just
I know
gonna
you guys
say
remember.
that. I was just
Yeah,
gonna say
Dave,
that.
you remember too when Rain first came out. Everybody considered him bottom tier. Like he was even considered worse than Melina. He was like down there with Robo. Like he was on the
Actually,
worst character game.
I still consider Milan to be bottom tier because not because of anything like anybody. Well, actually, let me backtrack. I'm just going when I see players like Tweety, and I know there was somebody else who really try to make it work, and then they quit the character because they can't win, and then they pick a high tier character. That means something to me. May not mean
Right,
much.
but sometimes it takes more than 5 months to make a character work. Like
Not in
every
this
character
game, to
gives
me.
instant results.
To me, in game, this doesn't.
Well, what I was gonna say is Rain is a good example because when Rain came out, he's considered bottom tier the longest, and then most recently,
But wait, that's
people are
not.
starting to see like,
Wait a minute. Wait
well,
a minute.
look, if you utilize Rain's movement, the snap, you get people press button. Now Rain's considered to be one of the better characters. Like he's considered at the worst mid tier or maybe upper mid. Like
Oh,
he's
wait a
considered
minute.
one of the better characters.
Rain has been considered mid tier for like the past 5 months. Like I haven't seen that change.
No,
actually.
for the longest he was considered bottom tier, and then as of a few months ago, people are starting to realize
People
he's
have
actually a good character.
clearly said for a long time that he's clearly the best DLC, clearly better than Melina, and clearly better than Rambo. This has been known for like a long time for right now. Maybe not like
didn't
initially.
Shiva
as
come
soon
in
as
that package? So how are they saying
Yeah,
that?
Shiva was in that.
Yeah, I'm
package.
calling
Shiva,
bullshit
yeah,
on this
Shiva-
argument right
and
now.
Fujin. And,
Shiva.
but
No, I'm
all
saying,
I remember is that
out
Rain
of-
was
out of
considered one
Rambo,
of the
not-
worst.
I'm judging out
Rain-
of Rambo and out of Melina,
Yeah.
Rambo, who else? And Rain, right? For those three characters, people consider Rain. A month in, people were already kind of like saying, yeah, I think we see. There were some people maybe thought Melina, but I think people were mostly saying, yeah, it's probably Rain. Looks like he's the best out of those three characters.
Well, what I was gonna say is, I think what's gonna happen to Melina is what happened to Rain. People are gonna realize that she's better than people think.
Well, the length
I
of time.
do want to say that I don't think she's probably as bad as the Melina community makes her out to be. I think that's fair to say. I know they're gonna flip out,
Well,
but
this isn't the Melina community. This is in general. Like most people feel.
I
she's the
know,
worst.
but
It's not just.
they have such a loud voice that I think it should be said. But with that said, yeah, I do think she's still low tier. I really do.
The length of time that people have been saying Rain is legit is basically the length of time that DJT has been competing with the character.
Yeah, and DJT that's his newest tournament character too.
And
He just picked him up a couple months ago.
And for similar reasons, right? Where DJT is an old school fundamental style player, he really loves the movement. So whereas other people would look at Rain and be like, "Well, I can't do this, I can't do that." DJT loves making people whiff. He loves making reads on movement, and that character is perfect for that. And I think that is a great example of why sometimes when you don't have a player like that, playing a character that requires those tools, a character like Rain, where the movement is a lot of what makes him good. A lot of times you don't even see why the character is better than people think. And a lot of times it takes someone at that level who can play that way to actually show people that they're overlooking things that they missed.
Yeah, like you have to be able to love the character's game plan to really like them. Like I said, I really like Cabal and Noob Saibot, favorite characters in the whole franchise. I just do not like their gameplay at all in this game. I don't care if they're the best character in the game. I just do not like it, so I don't play them.
Do you have any comments on this Melina Rain discussion?
I just don't think Melina's all that great of a character overall. I mean, I don't want to say she's the worst. I'm not really sure where she is exactly. I don't think she's much higher, but I'm not really sure if she's the actual worst.
After what they did to Shiva, I feel like she might be the worst character. Because now that she does not rely on that teleport, now we can definitely just start seeing how matchups are actually meant to be played.
Do I have time to bring up the fifth topic?
No, we're gonna save.
Or hot take him?
We're gonna do for a podcast if that's okay with everybody. So on this podcast.
Well, how about just one more character? Just one more character.
No. Next podcast. We have already talked about.
Wait, how long are we in right now? Are we an hour and a half already?
I know, but there's another topic that I would like to discuss. One final topic. I think 4 characters for 30, 40 minutes we've discussed them. I think that is fair. I do want everybody's opinion as the last topic. I don't want to take more than 20 minutes. If that's okay with everybody. So recently, both Street Fighter and Tekken. This goes to a topic that we were discussing with Zyphox off the record. They have released a patch. I don't want to go into too much detail because it's not a podcast about Namco and Capcom fighting games. But I would like to have your people, everybody's opinion. Does NRS have something to learn about the patching of these two fighting game developers? Because whereas NRS used to be very open to patches all the time, now they're very, very conservative. I think that's fair to. I think that's a fair description. Now it's kind of like it has switched. Now these other fighting games are literally releasing a patch kind of when they feel like it. Like Super just out of nowhere release like, okay, yeah, here, 30 pages, take it what you want. Oh, next patch, next week, we're gonna buff some of the low tier characters, and this is what you're gonna get, just out of like nowhere. Which is kind of how NRS used to patch, right? Not to that extent. I mean, the patches are still like the notes themselves are conservative, but the amount of patches that they release are, I would say, kind of plentiful, right? More than NRS does. What do you think? What do you think about that, Tom? I mean, you've been around for a while. What do you think? Are they doing it right? Meaning Namco and Capcom, and does NRS have anything to learn from this? What do you think?
I think it really depends on what we get. I mean, maybe NRS, since they didn't get their second year with the game, maybe they really do have a lot that's changing. I think there's a lot they would have to do, but it's just kind of wait and see. I think this is something that if we're sitting here several months down the line, post E3, we're sitting here talking a podcast talking about CEO and still no patch, still no update, then I think we would just have to look, deeper as to why nothing ever got done. I think as long as there's a possibility, it's really tough to say anything, until we know for sure. I think it's not fair. Give them a chance. If nothing happens, cross that bridge when we come to it. But I do think, seeing how everything is happening, I just don't see how they don't do something significantly game, like maybe meta shifting for the game. Take a look at some of the systems and whatever. I mean, there are a few things that I'm surprised haven't been looked at. I mean, for all we know, they're sitting there and, breakaway is completely different and whatever is completely different. They could be sitting there saying, yeah, this breakaway thing, the command is kind of weird. And, some characters break away, some don't. Some characters do all grounded damage and then you get comboed and if they break away at the right time. They could have already decided like, hey, let's do something about this. But so we'll have to see. A lot of people's complaints may already have been answered. At this point, it's just only time will tell. It's kind of tough to tell because, I assume they're going to announce something at E3. I think we should reserve our judgment until then.
It really depends because MKX hasn't been patched in 5 years and so many people seem to love it. So is it really an NRS thing or is it just MK11 only specifically? Because this rule doesn't seem to follow the other NRS games that haven't been patched in so long.
Well, I think
those are older games. We're talking about new games here. Like the newest.
We all know why. I don't think it's
right. But didn't Tekken come out around the same time that MKX did? That's
everyone knows MKX could use one more patch, and there's no one that's going to deny that. I mean,
let me add, Tom. Let me not to put anybody on this Tom. If MK11, because we all know how you feel, you kind of feel the same way I do. Would you go back and play MK11 over MKX? Because we know that you've been playing MKX a lot. Would you?
Would I do what now?
Would you play MK11 more if it got a patch over, even if it's not necessarily what you wanted, over MKX?
MK11 would have to be. They have to make some significant changes.
Wait, what if the patch makes the game worse? We always never talk about that.
Could be. I mean, there's always that
MKX patch made a lot of things worse. People forget this. They always assume patch means infinitely better no matter what. Sometimes patches make games
That's why
worse.
it's tough to speculate until we really know something. Because
It depends. Like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna nerf Jade zoning? Like, what are they really
do
gonna
this?
patch?
They could do that. I mean, there's right now we're just kind of pie in the sky. You know, we're pretty much throwing any possible idea. What if they make it better? What if they make it worse? What if they?
What if they take out one thing somebody liked? Like, what if they add something and nobody asked for? Like, like we don't know what is. That's why we kind of need to patch details to really give an opinion about it.
Zyphox, what do you think? Because you're the one who should they pretty much what I'm asking. I'm not sure if my question was maybe too. Should they patch more often? Is kind of what I'm asking. Patch more often, maybe keep it as conservative. That's kind of what my question was. Not that we would speculate here for 20 minutes, but what do you think?
I think that too much of any one thing is just really bad, right? If you drink a gallon of water as fast as you can, you'll probably end up dying because of the toxicity levels. NRS is notorious for Injustice 1 and MKX patching too quick, too much, too fast. So, because of the backlash that they got, we're like, yo, like, how is it that you let Tanya go right before CEO? Like, that was an accidental rhyme. But, they just didn't.
But that really wasn't the blow up. The blow up was that
Scorpion.
the blow up was that they did a patch the same week as CEO and changed a few other characters, barely Nick Tanya, and people were like, "What are you doing? Like, why would you do a patch this close to
Fair and Black for the 20th time?"
And they were like, well, we had to do something to touch Tanya a little bit, otherwise, there'd be eight Tanyas in top 8, and I guess they did fix it because there were only 6. I mean, so and Bailey was literally there going, "I'm just gonna ban DLC characters for the first year of your life." It got so bad that this is an extreme case because Crim knows this has never happened before, where nobody cared about the matches anymore. The hype was how many teleports can they get to? Because
dude, they were counting the teleports between me versus Sonic Fox.
Let me tell you, the lore on
they were counting.
The lore on that was people.
They were counting it so loud I heard it through the headset. I'm like, are they counting the teleports in my head? Like in the
lore on that was when Tanya came out, people were like, don't you think this is a bit much? And it was like, no, you're not punishing the teleport. You punish her. So people were like, you know what? Fuck that. We're going to count how many teleports go unpunished. And they got to like 2,000 something before one of them finally got punished. Like Ed Boon was calling somebody and he just held the phone up so that they could hear the teleports getting counted. Like that was the entire top 8, the teleport counter.
Biggest blow up ever.
Yeah.
But my point of saying all of that was that now that they took a step back, they're doing too little. We're dehydrated, right? Characters are not getting the required changes in enough like a lot of time or whatever. And unfortunately, the middle ground is really hard to get there. But because they've always had this 2-year cycle, it's like, how much investment are they really going to do to making changes to this game? Because after 2 years, the player base is going to significantly drop once they release the next one. Well, here we are. Now 2 years later, we have no game. It could have been COVID related. It could have been design choice. I hope it was a design choice. That way they can make a more fleshed out game for the next one, whatever next game is going to be on next gen or whatever. And we have all this time with MK11 to grow with this game. It's just a better overall system, but they need to rethink how they patch things, and I think they could definitely look at Street Fighter V and Namco, which is Capcom and Namco.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
No, I was going to say that because Street Fighter V, they just came up with like almost like an overhaul, like season 5 or whatever was like supposedly like an overhaul, and then this Phantom patch that just came out. A lot of people are actually liking the game. Like they're like, yo, they actually changed the game. It's playable, whatever the case may be. I've seen a lot of positivity over this the way they did this, and I think that we can draw the parallels between how Capcom did it and draw it to where NRS could probably do the same thing for MK11 and shit. They could even go back and patch MKX. And to go back to Dave's question earlier, he asked if I would go back to MKX if they patched it. I think the more interesting question would be if you had both MK11 and MKX in front of you, and you decided or if there was a patch that came out for each, one last patch, one overhaul or one fixed patch, which game would you go to then? That's
Not
the
even
one.
Choosing
close.
MK11.
Not even close.
There's-
Not even close. MKX.
There's way too much to fix with MKX. I don't think the next patch could do it.
Well,
The thing about MKX, they ruined way too many characters that the patch would have to be so massive, bring back so many characters that they butchered, that I don't think they would be able to do it.
let me
They
just say
have
this
6
in
years.
general. Without the cat,
Oh,
let me just say that.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying like when you look at the two games, I think, and I'm sure Dave was going to make his point at some point because we and I have talked about this. I think no one is denying the flaws that MKX has. I think what people are coming down to is, despite all those flaws, they'd rather deal with MKX because of what MKX gives you, where they feel like MK11 doesn't. Like, look, I mean, I agree. There's a lot of things I don't like about MKX as well, but I like. All right, I'm in a situation. Do I want to armor out? Am I gonna do this out? Am I gonna EX clone? Am I gonna backdash? Am I get knocked down? What am I gonna do?
You like the
Clone,
layers.
backdash.
Yeah, but the
roll
thing about
back.
MKX is too many people look at MKX through their personal goggles of the character they play. Like, obviously, Dave is more fond of MKX. He has Tremor. You like it, you have Sub-Zero.
It's not about
Melina
the
players like
goggles
that,
of the
Melina. But when you
character.
look at... No, dude, you have to look at it some ways. Like, for example, if you have someone that plays Hunter, Predator, Aaron Black, what do they have to look forward to?
What do they have to look
Characters
forward
have
to
been
in
nerfed to
MK11?
absolute garbage.
Up 3, up 2, forward,
No,
roll,
but
back
I'm
roll.
talking
It's
about MKX,
universal.
because you're talking about MKX, right? So I'm talking about MKX.
Okay.
If Aaron Black has been butchered to the ground, what do I have to look forward to? What is there to play? Like, yeah, you have Tremor,
I'm
you have
not talking
Sub-Zero, you're
about
having fun.
individual characters. I'm talking about, it doesn't matter what character
No, I
you play.
get that, but to some people, there's characters that they played
Yeah.
that when they turn on the game, they're going to be playing those characters. So
I agree.
you have to tell the cyber sub player, hey man, it's okay. Like, we're having fun here with Katana, Melina. Play with us. Like, dude.
Well, I don't understand this.
There's a lot of
because
characters-
when people
there's a
say
lot of
this in
characters that have to be
MKX,
fixed.
Because people say this in MK11, the characters, the MK11
Yeah,
community
but there's
for
a
2
big
years,
difference. There's a big difference in MK11.
the
though. In
MK11
MKX,
community for 2
Tom,
years.
in MKX, half of the cast was ruined. There's a big difference.
Well,
In MK11, probably 2 or 3 characters were ruined.
and I
I think
respect
that-
your opinion.
MKX,
And I respect
half of
your
the cast
opinion.
was.
But you know what? And Dave will back vouch for this. If you say MK11 half of the cast is ruined, excuses. You suck at the game. Why do you have an opinion? I mean, it just. I respect your
we can
opinion.
discuss it. What characters were ruined through patching in MK11? And
Well,
we're going to compare it to the MKX
It's not about.
characters
It's
that
not
were
about
ruined
being
through patching.
ruined through patches, and being ruined is also subjective. It's an opinion. The point is not about.
I would argue. We argue about this,
Dude,
If I'm
when
not
characters drop from top tier to mid tier or worse, that's
Well,
pretty
but
good.
hold
Okay,
on,
well,
hold on a
Shiba
minute.
players, they should. Which do they go back?
Right,
like
she's
Goro?
one of the 3 characters
I
that
mean,
were probably ruined, but
I think
MKX has like
Katana
half
got
the
ruined.
cast.
It has nothing to do with me with the tier list. You were saying she's actually better now. I don't want. I want to raise this. That's the way I want to play.
Yeah, it's not about.
That
I don't
was
want to go
taken
on a
away
tier
from
list,
me.
Dave.
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
want to go to the tier
No,
list.
I'm not saying it's Rio is. He's thing. It's nothing to do with tiers at
Yeah,
all.
what I'm,
No.
what-
I just find it odd that people are trying to sell MKX to me, knowing that some of these characters
I'm
are
not
more
trying to
incomplete than MK11.
I'm
Rio,
not trying to
but
sell
it's-
MKX to you.
Okay,
I'm not trying to.
Did you
sell it
guys
to
know that Aaron Black has no mid in MKX?
missed-
What do you do with him?
You missed my point.
He has no mid.
That's not my point. My point is that regardless, however you feel about the character, the bottom line is you have certain liberties. You can be creative.
No, but what I'm saying is you have to take into perspective everybody's opinion.
I'm
their
not
walk of
talking
life.
about
Like, some people.
I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about just in the system itself. No
right, but to
characters.
some of us, we play characters, and they to us it matters to the game because that's the character we play the most.
MK11 before you even get to the system, the characters is a problem
No, Dami,
within the
let me
system
say this.
itself.
He doesn't
Exactly.
understand what I'm saying. He doesn't
No,
understand what I'm
I
saying.
understand what you're saying, Rio, but we're talking about the system, not the characters. You're talking about
Yeah,
two
to me,
Well,
okay,
Zyphox or
look,
Crimson, do you guys understand what I'm saying?
can I say this, please? Okay, look, I'm not denying the fact that some characters in MKX were ruined, and honestly, I don't even want to have the conversation because it doesn't interest me all that much. But MK11 as a fighting game is ruined for me, not the characters. I should be playing MK11 right now because my characters. If I want to play RoboCop, he's got to get buffed. What reason do I have not to play? Like, I have my new tick throw. I just don't like the game.
I'm
What do you
confused.
do with tier list?
I'm confused.
That's my
Dave. Hold on.
point.
I have to say this because we have been done many podcasts in the past.
No, but you understand what I'm saying, right?
I
Don't you?
understand
Like,
exactly. But we've done many podcasts in the past where I make the same argument about Sub-Zero.
Look, I've tried
Hold
MKX
on,
this week,
and Rio
or
has
last
told
week,
me play
and
another character. Maybe there's
playing
another character
characters,
for
like,
you.
I'm thinking about
Well,
it.
why don't you
I'm
play another
playing-
character besides Aaron Black? There's
example,
another character for you then. I mean, you
because
say the same
they
thing.
didn't just ruin Tom. There's a difference here. They didn't just ruin one character. They ruined almost all of my characters.
Oh,
I can't play Hunter Predator.
you can't
because
play
he's
Raiden
garbage.
without. You can't
I
use
can't
custom
play-
variations for Raiden.
I can't play Aloe Aaron Black because the character's a
You
joke.
can't
I
use
can't play
Melina and
Kobujutsu
have
Tanya.
moves. All
She's
moves
completely
equipped.
garbage. I can't play Bojutsu Kungjin. Like all the characters I used to play in MKX when I was playing the game at tournaments are not. They don't exist anymore.
But people
Rio,
make the
I
same.
understand,
But people say the same thing about
it's the same thing
MK11.
about
and you shoot them
MK11.
down.
People don't like Melina. People like
You-
Melina because
you-
they
people
don't have the
make-
moves.
The same arguments you make right now, people make about MK11, and you say,
That's not the same.
and you say,
That's not
well,
the
try
same.
this character,
It's
try
the
that
same
character.
for them.
You do
That's not the same.
No, that's the same.
This
Rio,
is why
if
it's
you're
not the
gonna-
same. Let me
Go
explain it.
Go ahead.
Guys, can we have a conversation? Stop yelling. This is why it's not the same. In MK11, Melina didn't come out as this good character with all these tools, and then a year later, NRS was like, we're taking those away. Sorry. That's not what happened. In MKX, characters that used to be very good, like Kung Jin, Aaron Black, Hunter Predator, Quan Chi, all these characters, they got butchered. They're not the same anymore. This is not a fair comparison at all. MKX, these characters were good, they were fine. Why were they ever nerfed and destroyed to begin with? What was the point of that? When I play Hunter Predator, and I'm like, wow, Dragonfire Liu Kang, I remember before they nuked Hunter Predator, they nerfed his damage, they gave Liu Kang all these buffs he didn't need, like double armor, I was at least able to knock him down, Hunter Predator, do all this stuff, and now I have zero chance. Now, Dragonfire Liu Kang literally beats Hunter Predator 8-2. Like, how is this a game to look forward to? When they've destroyed so many characters that used to be fine before.
Like, I'm not trying to like interrupt you, yell at you. Like, I was
Right, but to tell me that what I went through with MKX is comparable to Melina and MK11 that never started
I'm
out
going
with
to be
all
honest
these
with
amazing
you.
tools, that's not the same
You
thing.
blast people that have the exact same point of view as you with MKX and MK11, and
No,
you blast
there's no
them
same
for
exact
it.
Rio,
No.
Tom,
Wait,
hold
you
on.
just told me that Melina players in MK11 went through the same thing I did with MKX.
no,
It's
I
crazy.
respect
your
you.
opinion.
Did you not just say
don't.
that?
You just
Rio,
don't.
Did
can
you
I
not
give
just
an
say that?
example, please?
Did
Rio,
you not
can
just say that MK11 Melina players went through playing a very good character
Can
that
I-
got ruined a year later through patching?
Can you give it an example for me, since you gave your example? Look, I should have all the reason in the world to play MKX because MK11 because my character just got buffed, and in fact, he just keeps getting buffed. I have no reason not to at least try. I'm not interested because I think the game is trash. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? It has nothing to do with tier list, nothing to do with the characters. I think the meta is the most boring meta I've ever played in my life, and many people feel the same way about the game. We feel the same way game, and we're very passionate about it. We don't want to touch this game, not even with a stick, with a 3 feet stick. We don't want to touch it.
Right, but I'm not there telling you to play MK11 every day. You're selling me a bill of goods with
I'm
MKX.
not
Going like,
real.
come play it. It's got all this depth, all these
Wait a
complete
minute,
characters,
wait a
way
minute.
better game. It's
I
not
never
that.
said anything. Wait a minute.
Completely being lied to.
I started the conversation. Like, look, this is literally what I said. That's what you recorded.
Play Aaron Black and MKX. The character at a basic level doesn't function. He has no mids, but you want to go back to that game.
People should play, and I hope we remember what we said at the beginning of the podcast. I said I respect people's opinions to play.
Right, but you also told me that Melina was ruined through patching in MK11, like my character.
Not through patching. She was ruined the moment she was released. Because they fucked up. They didn't let certain moves. Again, I don't want to get to the details. Take another 30 minutes to explain this. Tom has done it already many
It's your argument.
times.
You brought it up.
Well, the point is this. We feel...
I'm just saying, you have to keep in mind, not everybody plays some characters in MKX like Dragonfire, Liu Kang, Tremor, Sub-Zero. Some of us play characters where the game used to be much more fun for us and we had our thing and we were playing, and then it got taken away.
Absolutely. No. Tom, again...
Like, the same happened to me in MK11 with Aaron Black.
I'm not speaking for you. I respect your opinion, and I believe you are entitled to your opinion, and no one should be able to tell you how you feel about stuff. I'm talking about other people and their reasons why they like MKX, because to them, they don't find that interesting.
Right. But I don't understand how sometimes like players like me have to sit here, you know, say nothing while we hear you guys rant about all these incomplete characters that are bad in MK11. But the second someone like me brings up, hey man, you know these characters that got destroyed by patching, no mid here, incomplete. You guys have to.
No, I respect your opinion of that. But you know what? I'm not here telling you whatever. When I talked about the Arctic Trap now getting a 9-frame difference, you told me shut the fuck up and play Devora. When I talked about Raiden not being able to use custom variation, you told me to shut the fuck up and play this character. I
never told you to shut the F up.
And you do this to a lot of people.
I never told you to shut the F up. I never told
anybody
to shut the F up.
You didn't say shut the hell up.
I didn't tell Tom shut the F up, play Devora. I said, Tom, your character playstyle is Devora. Your character playstyle, what you want to do in the game is what Devora does.
You won't let me tell you what your playstyle is in MKX, but you're telling me my playstyle.
My playstyle is having no mids and playing characters that have.
But there are people. Okay, first of all, yes. You
no mids at MK11, really?
Hold on, stop. I'm paraphrasing. But the bottom line is there are other people that I hear make the same complaints that you make in MKX from their point of view in MK11, and you don't want to hear it. You tell them no, they're
No,
not.
you can say whatever you want. I was answering Zyphox's question as to why I would choose MK11 because there's too much
Okay,
that
but-
NRS ruined in MKX through patching that to release a patch and
Okay, but other
give everything
people
back
like-
just seems silly to me.
Okay, but you don't have to like it. I'm talking about what
Right,
other people
but
say
yeah,
they
you
like.
can do what you Tom. Look, I respect that you play MKX now. It's your main game. That's all you play. It's all you stream. That's good for you. I'm just was speaking on Zyphox's question. I was telling him why I would prefer them to do with MK11. Because through my eyes, you didn't go through this with your characters. Because Sub-Zero's always been good in MKX. A lot of my characters that I played have been destroyed and butchered. They're not even the same character. You can't recognize them anymore of how they used to be.
Again,
That's all I'm saying.
When people
That's
tell
a-
me about MKX, they don't even talk about the character. They just talk about the things within the system.
And I think even at least for me personally speaking, even if Trump wasn't good at the game, I would still use the Ermac. I have a lot of fun with the Ermac, even though I'm nowhere near as good as with them. For me, it has nothing to do with the tier lists. It has nothing to do with the characters. Even though obviously, yes, I do like Tremor as a personality-wise as a storyline character. But MK11 is just so boring and so one-dimensional. I can't stand the game. And again, I have all the reasons to go back and play it because I think RoboCop may get more buffs if there's another patch. But
some
I'm just
people-
not interested.
Some people will say like, why
Right,
is
and like I said, it's your opinion. I'm not going around pretending my
I know,
opinion
but
is
some
fact.
people are
I'm not factually stating, yeah, MKX is a bad game. It's boring. You guys are putting
It
it
is
away that
boring, yeah.
I
I
have to
didn't
factually
say
agree with
anything
you.
was boring. I'm just telling you, before you even get to the characters, you hear a lot of people say things like, and I do agree with a lot of it, like, okay, why do I have so many limit? Why is everything so universal? You get knocked down, up 3, up 2, roll. Why can't I do this move? Why can't I do that move? Why can't I wake up with a projectile if I want to? You want to backdash? Why can't I get it with a fireball knowing you're going to backdash? Why does it have to be up 3? Like, why can't I use my individual moves? As a character, why is all of a sudden so much of a character's individuality restricted to make things more universal? And people don't like that about the game. What if I want to backdash here? Oh, they got rid of invincible backdashes. So that's why. What if I want to get up with this special move here? You can't do that. Up 3,
Okay,
up 2.
you do realize MKX has a lot of the same issues as MK11 though, right? There's a lot of incomplete characters in MKX.
My
There's a lot
point
of
is,
useless
people don't like the
variations.
universe.
There's a lot of moves in the game that are
But there's more
that are used for no
creativity.
reason.
There's more creativity with your character. Your character's individuality.
What is the creativity with
shines
Aaron
through
Black?
more.
Where's the creativity? What about Hunter Predator? Where's the creativity? What do you do with him?
Listen,
It doesn't even the character doesn't even
it's literally a deal with the devil at this point. You're signing away your
work. What
life.
is Cybersub's creativity? What does he do?
The creativity that you
useless.
get in MKX is honestly, in my opinion,
One-dimensional.
Especially, it's not worth all the bullshit that you have to deal with in order to play the game.
I
Because-
mean,
But yeah, let's
Yeah.
Crimson. Let Crimson say.
I think at the end of the day, none of this matters. Like, really, all this conversation, this entire conversation can be boiled down to what play style do people really like, and that's the most important thing. Like, I keep hearing all these people are playing MKX. If I go on Twitch, there might be one known person streaming MKX,
Yeah,
right?
no, they're not. Yeah,
Which
no.
is it's no disrespect to the people who are
There's
playing
like
it.
10 of us, Krim, that go back to it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and again,
And there are-
And even
Let me
Rhea
say,
brought up
not-
the Steam
there are
numbers,
more.
and
There
they're
are
very
more
low.
than 10. There are more than 10. But I mean, like, if you compare the people that are on MK11 to MKX, it's a fraction of a fraction.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
yeah,
course.
and no disrespect to them. I think that's awesome. I think people should play what they like. But to me, that's what this comes down to. Because honestly, MKX is a very one-dimensional game. If you really like that one dimension, which is being point blank, which is rush down, which is jumping and mixing people up, you're gonna play MKX. You don't give a hell about anything else. If that's the playstyle you like 100%, why wouldn't I play MKX? Of course. And if you like neutral, you like footsies, and you like having some time to think and make people whiff, then you're playing MK11. You know what I mean? And fundamentally, that's the most important thing. All the other stuff, like Zyphox said, doesn't matter. If you don't like being in people's face 24/7, mixing people up constantly, people, like camouflaging their negative frames with armor and stuff like that, none of the other stuff about like creativity or whatever is going to make one bit of difference to you. If you don't like that style, you're not playing the game. And likewise, if you don't like, walking back and forth and taking your time to down one and throw and open people up with strike throw and stuff like that. Nothing in the world is gonna make you like MK11. No patch, no character being good, nothing.
I mean, I wouldn't mind playing MKX if they gave him like a mid. Like
I mean, man, honestly,
being no
when
issue.
people call MK11 a footsie game, and people and I believe it does have neutral and footsies, but when people put together a collage of, let me show you what it looks like when the top 5 characters play the game, it don't look like a footsie game.
No, right?
it goes both ways.
It's a flight simulator.
Okay,
it's a flight
It goes
simulator.
both ways. It goes both ways. For all the people that talk up MK11 footsies, we have to hear about the people glamorize MKX execution god game. Like it goes.
I mean,
both
is
ways.
Joker a flight simulator? Is Sechion a flight simulator? Is Liu
Is
Kang a
Liu
flight
Kang
simulator?
Yeah, in
I
many
don't
ways she is.
remember.
Yeah, like
in many
what-
ways she
Is
what
is.
Melina a
what
flight
is the
simulator?
argument?
In
She's
MKX
not
she is.
top
Yeah,
tier.
kind of.
It's absolutely stupid. Like, no, it's not a flight simulator. But some people prefer one style of game. Some people prefer the other. We
I don't
have
think
to-
it is. For some people, it has nothing to do with style at all. You really think I want to play MKX when MK11? You really think I would? MKX plays nothing
wait,
I
wait.
like it.
Wait, what did you
Wait,
say?
you wouldn't play MKX? Wait, now you don't want to play MKX?
Yeah, he said that backwards.
No. I'm saying you really think I want to play MKX over MK11 in terms of
What
like
do you mean?
just
You defend MKX.
You already
you
said
give him
it.
up. Now you don't
Well,
like
hold on,
it.
let me finish my point because there are nuances. This is the nuance. I have an issue with people saying MKX is one-dimensional. They don't use the same adjective to describe MK11. Literally the most one-dimensional game of all time, probably. As far as MK11 being footsies, good one. The reason I play MKX is, again, it has to do with some bias. We all do. Crimson touched upon that. I'm not denying that in any way, shape, or form. But I think most people who have gone back to play MKX at least would agree that the game is just, again, has more way to express yourself in terms of combos, in terms of the way you use armor, in terms of the way you
In
rush
terms of how your
down.
mids don't work with Aaron Black, in terms of how Hunter Predator
Well,
can't do
let's
shit
not
against
talk.
Hyperpath.
Let's not talk about the way the mids
Right,
work.
but if we're gonna talk about the package, let's talk about the whole package. Let's not just pick
we
and
can
choose what
talk
we
about the
wanna talk
package all night long if you want to talk about the package. Some guys didn't have mids in MKLM for a long time. If you want to talk about that package, we can.
Right, but here's the difference though. MKX meta is based on up close aggression combos. When you have characters with no mids in a game like that, that's very bad. That's very bad.
People know what I
When
do.
characters like Cyber Sub can't hit some characters that are doing death combos and mix-ups, that's a very bad
Look,
recipe.
I understand. I completely understand with you, and I'm sorry that your character got nerfed, and I completely understand you.
You don't have to be sorry. Like I said, I play
No,
MK11. There's many reasons why I don't play MKX.
Well, no, I understand. There are also many reasons that I don't play MK11. One of them is, and I appreciate the people who uploaded certain videos of me recently. When the guy used to zone, literally, that's all he ever did. You guys saw how I won. When I go to MKX or MK11, and I still think MKX is by far the better zone than MK11. That should tell you something. You can trash me for all my opinions and how the way I played. When a guy like me, and not just me, by the way, many other people who a cowboy playing to win, people who won with zoning year after year, when we say yes, MKX or MK11, you guys.
There's zoning in MKX and MK11, by the way.
I think the zoning in MK11 is non-existent, and that's my opinion.
Sadly, that's not how reality is because there are people getting zoned out this very moment.
Again, that's fine. I won the way I won. And
look, I know zoning isn't the #1 best strategy that every matchup should be played for some characters.
Neither is an MKX.
Regardless if you want to admit it or not, dude, there's zoning in MK11 and there's zoning in MKX.
Again,
you choose not to play those matchups, that's not our problem.
I'm gonna leave at the fact that everybody has their opinion. I have mine, and I'll leave it at that. And I think now is a good time to wrap things up. On the next podcast, we will give you 4 more characters. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation because we do want to touch upon more characters. I think it kind of helps everybody, be more educated. It's more informative. And let us know what you think about the MKX Twitch Rivals tournament that Maximilian still has to finish hosting. Are you looking forward to that? Are you looking forward to, and maybe to the more patches that might happen in MK11? What are you guys playing? Are you playing MKX? Are you playing MK11? Let us know what you think, and we appreciate you so much for listening to this podcast. And we will see you on the next episode. Thank you, everybody.